What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Desktop Builds Battlebots series, and today we are going to be looking over and tutorializing Monsoon. I made this little build of the combat robot Monsoon to go along with the army of combat robots that I've been building. Hopefully you guys can enjoy it and build along too. We're going to do an abridged tutorial since this build is pretty easy to do, but be sure to stay tuned until the end of the video because I'm going to do a little sneak peek for what build is coming up next on the BattleBots series. So as we get a little bit into the showcase of Monsoon, well, this one was a bit of a challenge, as they always are, and as a lot of you guys know, functionality is really important to me. And Monsoon is also an invertible robot. So I had to come up with a design that was able to invert in the same way that Monsoon does, where the weapon frame right here that actually spins the weapon can actually invert and it can still drive upside down while the weapon frame remains intact and sort of pivots separately on this joint. Now, like I said, I always ask myself, does this reflect how the BattleBot actually works? And so for Monsoon, I found the answer by building along a horizontal axis. You can see these are tilted bricks right here, and I actually have some basic Technic wheels right here that are attached to axles, and this whole thing is kind of held together by axles where the weapon and the wheels kind of swivel along this mechanism here. By building that horizontal axis, I reached a pretty satisfying result. And I was able to use these lift arm pieces, which were hugely essential to this build. I think they're a little bit cumbersome in the end, just because they kind of block the rotation of the weapon, and they don't match exactly with the complex shape of Monsoon's weapon. But in all honesty, overall, I think this was the best that I can do at this scale as far as Monsoon goes. And really with functionality, this guy works just about as good as you could imagine, with the being able to invert and just being realistic compared to the actual combat robot. Since this build is so simple, you know, it's got like a small amount of pieces that are relatively easy to acquire. It was a pretty easy build for me to come up with and create. So I figured I'd give you guys a little abridged tutorial here. I haven't done one of these in a while, so hopefully you guys can build along if you can find these pieces at home. Let's get into it. And there you have it. Monsoon in all of its invertible glory. You can see the robot perfectly functioning and made out of some pretty simple pieces with a spinning weapon and invertible weapon frame. So I really enjoyed the challenge of this build, but also the simplicity. I had kind of a bit of difficulty coming up with the concept, trying to work in the pivoting weapon frame with those Technic lift arms, but I think it turned out to be a really elegant, simple build that's just really using up some common parts and making good use of LEGO's nice Technic build system to hold everything together and give it a lot of that functionality that I talked about earlier. You know, the horizontal techniques works great for these micro scale bots, and something I think I'm going to plan on using more in the future. And it's also really satisfying, as you guys hopefully discovered, to kind of sandwich both ends of the build together. That feels really nice once you get to the end of the build project. My biggest criticism with Monsoon is probably the weapon itself. I think that it doesn't necessarily mimic the weapon shape. It was really hard to fit that shape within these two lift arm pieces that I committed to, and you know, it's just a little small. I wish I could have made it a bit bigger and more destructive looking, but thankfully it does spin well. If you actually don't like this little weapon build, this three-piece one, I actually did come up with a design that uses a regular Technic 3 lift arm, and it spins better, but in my opinion, it doesn't look as good as the actual end result that I came out with. So overall, a few criticisms with this one, but I think it does fit super nicely into the Battlebots collection. So just a quick reminder to subscribe. I've got plenty more micro-scale Battlebots on deck, as well as other cool LEGO content. And also, while I'm at it, I am on Instagram now. Follow me at BRICkast_LEGO. Post a lot of high-quality photos of Battlebots and other imaginative LEGO mocks that I have put together. So let's get to that sneak peek, right? So everybody, something new here I'm doing on BRICkast. I'm just going to give you a little sneak peek at some of the pieces, a sneak piece maybe is what we could call it, to the next BattleBot build that I'm going to be doing. So the first piece we're going to be looking at is this classic, just simple piece. It is a 1x1 black plate that is rounded, super common, really old piece. And this, actually, in our upcoming build, is going to be used as a wheel. So see if you can think about that. And now this next one gives us a little bit of a color hint. It is a piece that just appeared in the build that we're working on. It's just a 2x1 brick with an axle mount in it. This can be used really well for creating spinning pieces, possibly weapons, and maybe make note of the color. And now finally, hopefully this doesn't make it too easy, but just a quick look at this lime green sloped piece. And I'm not going to say anything more about it. I'll just leave it there for you guys. Hopefully you guys are just burning with anticipation. As always, I hope you guys have enjoyed building with me. I certainly enjoyed building with you. Till next time, this has been Drew with BRICkast.